I know a lot of y'all are struggling with the quarantine right now. That's why I wanted to make this video. A lot of y'all know I do home health now, but what a lot of people don't realize is that I did court research for background checks and a lot of other things for 14, nearly 15 years. But with all of the court data moving online, after about the first 2 years or so, it became basically a work from home position. So for the next 12, 13 years until personal issues, the marriage that never happened, uh, forced me to, and all the health issues that sprung out of that kind of forced me to change my line of work. You know, for the next 12 to 13 years until that happened, I was basically living the same lifestyle we're all being forced into right now. You know, I worked from home, banked online between Amazon, the Schwan Man, and what I was able to grow for myself. Even going to the grocery store didn't happen all that often. Um, so I got isolated. I was already isolated, and the longer that went on, the worse it got. Um, One of the ways that I coped, which is one of the things I wanted to share, is I made sure that I always had a purpose. Um, I use volunteermatch.org to find ways that I could volunteer from home. Ended up helping, like the Golden Gate Opera Company, for example, look up German businesses in California so they could approach them for funding for their production of Hansel and Gretel. Worked with the Progressive Animal Welfare Society on their, some of their media and stuff. So I found ways to make sure, even though I was isolated from people, to make sure that I still had a purpose. And now with all this coronavirus and stuff going on, I thought a kind of a neat thing that I could do would just be to read books on YouTube. Nothing new. I don't have permission for that, but I really don't see where they could say anything if I read public domain stuff. Um, the whole idea came about because I was. This is gonna make me sound like a geezer, but I used to love watching listening to the Prairie Home Companion on. It was WSIU on one of their sideband stations, 16.4. They broadcast their radio station through their sideband TV channel. And one of the commercials they always ran was for a service they did called Cirrus. I think that's what it was called. Where they basically read books and magazines and newspapers and all kinds of stuff for mostly for blind folk. They didn't have access any other way. And I always thought that was kind of neat. I actually would have loved to have went and done it because the commercials were looking for volunteer readers, but it was just too far to travel. But with everything going on right now, it's kind of forced me to. Yeah, I know that wire's in the way, but Not much we can do about that. Um, but yeah, it kind of forced me to revisit the idea and go, why not? I mean, you've got a camera, you've got a mic, why not? Um, so we're gonna start off with the Bible. I'm not an expert, so this is not gonna be a sermon. As a matter of fact, I I struggle with faith a lot. But before all this started, I had uh, I had began going to church again. So as much as this bothers me right now to not be able to go, I can only imagine what it's like for people who have been going their whole entire lives. It's really got to be it's really got to be hard on those folk. And then what about blind people and people who I've known a few folks who were just not blind, just illiterate. Um, those people in a lot of cases they depend on having somebody to read the Bible to them, and usually that was you know in church. So with churches being closed, a lot of those people are having their access to the Bible closed right along with it, which is kind of sad because this is like the one time to have that cut off when you need it the most in times of crisis. It, yeah, it's really got to be hard on those people. So because I can see where it would benefit or potentially benefit so many, that's why we're starting with the Bible. Um, no sermon. Like I said, I'm no expert. I'm not smart enough for that. No way. No way at all. So I'm just reading it. And if the stay-at-home orders are still in place, and by the time we're done, then we'll pick something else. But for right now, we're just gonna start with the first chapter. We're gonna start at the beginning and end at the end. So the first chapter of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, and it was good. God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering upon the together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit yielding tree after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, an herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind, and God saw it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night. And he let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and divide the light from the darkness. And God saw it was good. And the evening and morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly a moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly upon the earth, in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let us make man in our image and our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. And for every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. That is Genesis 1. I like to keep videos, roughly around 20 minutes or so, because my upload speeds are kind of slow. We start getting any longer than that, it'll take a while. But about 20 minutes, I can run it through Handbrake and get it down to a manageable size. So the next time you see this, we'll be starting off with chapter 2. Thanks for watching.